What if the single biggest threat to your independence after 50 is a fall or a heart attack? But something happening silently inside your muscles right now. Every year, millions of adults unknowingly lose up to 1% of their muscle mass. It feels like simple aging, little weaker, a bit slower. But it's an aggressive process, a hidden epidemic that robs you of your strength, mobility, and freedom. This isn't just about being able to open a jar. It's about the very engine of your body, slowly sputtering out. And the most shocking part, a common, cheap food, sitting in nearly every American pantry, is actively accelerating this muscular decay. Most people see muscles as just for movement, but they are your body's metabolic armor. They are critical for regulating blood sugar, burning fat, and supporting your immune system. When you lose muscle, you don't just lose strength. You lose your primary defense against chronic diseases, like type 2 diabetes. More terrifyingly, your heart is a muscle. The same process that weakens your biceps also impacts the most important muscle in your body, compromising its ability to function. This is a life or death issue hiding in plain sight. If you want to uncover hidden health truths like this and take back control of your aging process, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. We are dedicated to bringing you the science that can change your life. So what is this hidden enemy? It's not the obvious villain like refined sugar or trans fats. This culprit is far more insidious because it masquerades as a harmless, even essential, part of our diet. It's a staple food, one of the cheapest and most versatile ingredients you can buy. You'll find it in bread, pasta, cereals, and countless processed foods. Food manufacturers adore it for its low cost and long shelf life. It has been a cornerstone of the Western diet for over a century, a symbol of convenience. Yet, emerging science is now revealing its dark side. A direct link to the inflammatory processes that systematically destroy muscle tissue. The damage is subtle, which makes it so dangerous. When you eat it, this food triggers a low-grade, chronic inflammatory response. Think of it as a constant, simmering fire inside you. This inflammation sends out destructive signals that tell your body to break down muscle protein faster than it can be rebuilt. It disrupts the hormonal balance needed for muscle maintenance, putting your body into a catabolic state of self-destruction. Your own muscle tissue becomes fuel for this inflammatory fire, accelerating the natural process of age-related decline into a rapid downward spiral. You are likely eating this food every day, thinking you're making a reasonable choice. The evidence is now undeniable. So, what is this common food, silently stealing your strength? In the next part, we will not only reveal its identity, but expose the industry that has concealed its dangers. Are you ready to discover the enemy in your pantry? The hidden enemy, the saboteur lurking in plain sight in millions of pantries, is not some exotic chemical or obscure ingredient. It's the common, colorful, and comforting breakfast cereal, that box of flakes, puffs, or loops. Marketed for decades as a healthy start to the day, is the primary delivery system for the metabolic chaos we're about to uncover. Its danger lies in its disguise. It feels harmless, nostalgic even. We fed it to our children, and our parents fed it to us. It's quick, it's cheap, and it's fortified with a few synthetic vitamins to create a veneer of health. But beneath that crunchy, sugar-coated surface is a highly processed payload of refined carbohydrates that triggers a devastating cascade of events inside your body, starting the very moment it passes your lips. It's a daily ritual of self-sabotage, masquerading as a sensible breakfast. Imagine your bloodstream as a calm, steady river. When you consume a bowl of typical breakfast cereal, you are not sipping from that river. You are dynamiting the dam. The refined sugars and processed grains are absorbed almost instantly, unleashing a massive, unnatural tidal wave of glucose into your system. Your body, sensing this state of emergency, panics. It calls in the crisis management team, led by a single, powerful hormone, insulin. Your pancreas works overtime, pumping out a huge surge of insulin to tackle the flood. Its job is to grab all that excess sugar from the blood and desperately try to shove it into cells for energy or storage. This isn't a gentle, regulated process. It's a violent, reactive speaker hormonal tsunami designed to prevent the immediate toxic effects of high blood sugar. Now, what happens when you sound a fire alarm every single day, when there is no fire? Eventually, people stop reacting. This is precisely what happens to your cells. For years, every morning, the insulin alarm has been blaring. It frantically knocks on the door of your muscle cells, screaming, "Take this sugar, now." But after thousands of these false alarms, the cells begin to downregulate. They become numb to the signal. They effectively cover their ears and ignore the constant knocking. This is the clinical definition of insulin resistance. It's a protective mechanism gone wrong. Your cells, particularly your crucial muscle cells, are no longer listening to insulin. The key no longer fits the lock, and the body's entire system of fuel management begins to break down, leading to a state of internal gridlock. This cellular deafness has a catastrophic consequence for your muscles. Insulin is the master key that unlocks the door to your muscle cells. Not just for sugar, but for essential nutrients like amino acids, the literal building blocks of muscle tissue. When your muscles become insulin resistant, that door remains shut. You can eat a protein-rich lunch, but the amino acids struggle to get inside the muscle cells to repair the micro tears from daily activity. Your muscles are effectively being starved in a sea of plenty. They are deprived of the fuel they need to function and the raw materials they need to rebuild. This is the very mechanism that accelerates sarcopenia. Your body is breaking down muscle faster than it can be repaired, not from a lack of nutrients in your diet, but from a self-inflicted inability to deliver those nutrients where they are needed most. The damage doesn't stop at your muscles. With the muscle cells refusing entry, the sugar and insulin remain trapped in your bloodstream at dangerously high levels. This toxic environment is incredibly corrosive. Think of it as liquid sandpaper, constantly scraping and irritating the delicate single-cell thick lining of your arteries and blood vessels, known as the endothelium. This chronic irritation creates inflammation and micro-lesions, which are the foundational seeds of plaque buildup, or atherosclerosis. Your blood vessels become stiff and damaged, forcing your heart to work harder to pump blood through a compromised system, directly contributing to high blood pressure and heart disease. The very food marketed as heart healthy is, in fact, initiating the first stages of cardiovascular destruction. And this is only the beginning of the story. But the damage from that morning sugar rush doesn't stop with insulin resistance. While your muscle cells are being starved, a much slower, more permanent form of damage is taking root throughout your entire body. It's a chemical process called glycation. Think of it like a slow-motion caramelization happening inside you. When excess sugar molecules float around in your bloodstream with nowhere to go, they start to randomly attach themselves to proteins, the very building blocks of your tissues. This bonding creates new, harmful molecules known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs for short. These aren't just temporary irritants. They are permanent fixtures, like rust forming on metal, that fundamentally change the structure and function of your body's most vital components, one protein at a time. Now, consider your muscles. They are complex networks of protein fibers, primarily collagen and elastin, designed to be flexible, strong, and resilient. When AGEs form on these fibers, they act like molecular glue, creating stiff, unnatural crosslinks between them. Imagine a bundle of fresh elastic rubber bands. Now imagine those same bands becoming old, brittle, and fused together. They can no longer stretch or contract effectively. This is precisely what happens to your muscle fibers. They lose their pliability and their ability to generate force, becoming weaker and more prone to injury. This isn't just a feeling of weakness. It's a physical transformation at the microscopic level, where your once powerful muscles are slowly being turned into rigid, less functional tissue by the sugar you eat. This internal stiffening process isn't limited to your muscles. It wages a devastating war on your cardiovascular system. Your arteries and blood vessels are supposed to be soft, elastic tubes that can expand and contract with every heartbeat to manage blood flow and pressure. Just like your muscles, they rely on flexible collagen and elastin proteins to function. But as AGEs accumulate, they turn these supple arteries into rigid pipes. This loss of elasticity is a direct cause of hypertension, or high blood pressure. Your heart is forced to pump with much greater force to push blood through these hardened vessels, placing immense strain on the entire system and dramatically increasing your risk for heart attack and stroke. The same process weakening your biceps is also hardening your arteries. Are you starting to see how one simple meal can trigger this cascade of premature aging? If this is connecting the dots for you, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. And let me know in the comments which part of this process is most shocking to you. Your feedback is crucial. Unlike the temporary spike of insulin, the damage from AGEs is cumulative and largely irreversible. They build up over a lifetime, creating a permanent record of your dietary choices. Each sugary breakfast adds another layer to this internal plaque. It's a slow, silent process that progressively robs your body of its youthful flexibility, making you feel stiff and old from the inside out, long before your time. So we have a devastating two-pronged attack. On one hand, insulin resistance is starving your muscles of the fuel and building blocks they need to repair and grow. On the other, Advanced glycation end products are fundamentally changing their structure, making them stiff, brittle, and weak. Your body is simultaneously being undernourished and internally fossilized. This combination accelerates sarcopenia at an alarming rate, turning what should be a gradual decline into a steep and dangerous fall. But this internal stiffening and cellular starvation is only part of the story. There's a third, even more insidious mechanism at play, one that turns your body's own defense system into an enemy of your muscles. And it all begins with that same spoonful of cereal. Beyond the cellular stiffening from glycation, a third, more insidious process is at play. It's not a sudden explosion, but a slow, smoldering fire that never goes out. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. Unlike the helpful, acute inflammation that heals a wound, this is a persistent, body-wide state of alert, triggered relentlessly by the very foods we start our day with. The refined carbohydrates and sugars in that cereal bowl are not just inert calories. They are potent inflammatory agents. Every spoonful acts like kindling, feeding a microscopic blaze that silently rages within your arteries and muscle tissue, creating an environment hostile to health. This constant internal alarm forces your body to sound a hormonal siren, cortisol, known as the stress hormone. Cortisol is designed for short-term emergencies, but when inflammation is chronic, cortisol levels remain chronically elevated, with devastating effects on your metabolic balance. It flips a critical switch, shifting you from an anabolic, or building, state, into a catabolic, or breakdown, state. In this mode, your body's primary directive is no longer to build and repair, but to dismantle itself for immediate energy, to fight a perceived, never-ending threat. That is, in reality, coming from your own plate. Your muscles are a primary victim of this catabolic shift. They represent a large reservoir of amino acids, which the body can convert into glucose for quick energy. Under the influence of chronic inflammation and high cortisol, your system actively breaks down hard-earned muscle protein, a process called proteolysis. It's a tragic irony. The very tissues you work so hard to build in the gym are being systematically deconstructed by your breakfast. This makes muscle growth nearly impossible, as you are essentially trying to fill a bucket with a large hole in it. You're not just failing to progress. You are actively But this inflammatory fire doesn't just burn through muscle. It scorches the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, a single-cell layer called the endothelium. Healthy endothelium is smooth, flexible, and non-stick, allowing blood to flow freely. However, the constant barrage of inflammatory molecules, known as cytokines, generated in response to that sugary meal, directly damages these cells. This creates microscopic injuries and rough patches along the arterial walls, turning a smooth superhighway into a damaged, pothole-ridden road. This structural damage is the critical first step in the development of cardiovascular disease, setting the stage for a far more visible and dangerous problem. This is where the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. The body, perceiving injury in the arterial walls, initiates what it thinks is a healing response. It sends cholesterols, specifically LDL particles, to patch up the damage. But in a pro-inflammatory environment, these LDL particles become easily oxidized and trapped at the injury site. Immune cells rush in to clean up the mess, engulfing the cholesterol and becoming what are known as foam cells. Over time, these foam cells accumulate, die, and form the waxy, dangerous substance we know as arterial plaque. Thus, the same inflammatory cascade that dissolves your muscle is simultaneously building the very blockages that can lead to a heart attack. After navigating the destructive trio of insulin, glycation, and inflammation, it's easy to feel defeated, as if our diet is a minefield designed to accelerate decline. But this is the crucial turning point. That knowledge is the blueprint for rebuilding. This damage is not permanent. By consciously choosing your first meal, you can flip the metabolic switch from breakdown to build-up. This isn't about complex diets or expensive supplements, but a simple strategy we call the protective plate. It's an approach designed to stabilize blood sugar, provide essential protein, and extinguish the inflammatory fire, one breakfast at a time. Let's target the common culprit: cereal or toast. The immediate swap is as simple as it is effective: 3 scrambled eggs, or a bowl of plain full-fat Greek yogurt with a handful of berries and walnuts. This is a strategic strike against the mechanisms we've discussed. The high-quality protein provides the amino acids your body needs to repair and build muscle, directly fighting sarcopenia. The healthy fats and fiber from the nuts and berries slow sugar absorption, flattening that dangerous glucose curve and preventing the catabolic insulin spike. You're not just eating, you're supplying the raw materials for strength. For those needing a savory or faster option, Preparation is key. On a Sunday, bake a tray of mini frittatas, using eggs, spinach, and cheese. They become a perfect, protein-packed grab-and-go meal for the entire week. Another great alternative is a quality protein shake, blended with unsweetened almond milk and a spoonful of almond butter. Just be sure to check the label for minimal added sugar. Both of these options achieve the same vital goal. They deliver a steady stream of energy and amino acids without the sugar rush, keeping cortisol levels low and promoting a muscle-building state all morning. These swaps represent a fundamental shift in perspective. Every meal, starting with breakfast, is a decision. Fuel the processes that weaken you, or provide the nutrients that build resilience. Preserving and building lean muscle as you age is not a vanity project. It is the single most important variable for maintaining your independence, metabolic health, and overall longevity. It is your body's armor. As a crucial reminder, the information presented here is for educational purposes only, and not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have underlying health conditions. You now understand the threat and have the tools to build your defense. By replacing a plate of processed carbs with protein and fiber, you are actively rebuilding your strength from the inside out. But what you eat is only half of the equation. The other, arguably more powerful half, is when you eat. Meal timing can trigger potent hormonal responses that either accelerate muscle growth or shut it down entirely. In our next video, we dive into the science of chrononutrition, revealing how a simple adjustment to your eating schedule can dramatically amplify your results without changing a single ingredient. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. You will not want to miss this.